dehydrated and stuck in muddy waters for weeks. His young predator beast accepted his fate, beginning the swamp world of Xyron 4. The twin sons of Xyron 4 were merciless. Their combined heat baked the surface into a cracked, shifting wasteland of clay, dust, and steaming mud. Where once the planet's equatorial belt had been a thriving wetland of emerald vines and phosphorescent pools, now it was a rotting graveyard of stagnant, muddy water. Lieutenant Darren Holt, a human exobiologist and xenowildlife expert, trudged through waist-deep sludge that clung to him like hungry leeches. His oxygen mask hissed faintly. The filters were clogged with spore dust. His ship, the Reclaimer, had crashed 3 weeks ago during a magnetic storm. The beacon was gone, his crew scattered or dead. Only one living thing remained with him now, and that was hardly comforting. The beast. Darren glanced over his shoulder. 10 meters behind him, half camouflaged in the reeds, stalked a creature that could easily disembowel him in one swipe. It was 4 meters long, with scaled limbs and bright orange eyes that cut through the mist like burning glass. A Crithian juvenile, a predator species considered so dangerous that even the galactic marines refused to train them for combat. Born hunters, they had armor hides and instincts honed to kill since hatching. Yet this one was different. It limped, favoring its left foreleg, and its once glossy scales were dull with dried mud. Darren had found it trapped beneath a fallen tree 2 weeks ago, snapping and snarling, unable to move. He debated shooting it. But his blaster was low on charge, and some part of him couldn't stand to watch another living creature die helplessly. So he cut the trunk, freed it, and walked away. That night, it followed him. Since then, they'd become unwilling partners in survival, a man and a predator bound by exhaustion and necessity. Middle, the bond of hunger and desperation. Each day blurred into the next. Darren rationed his last protein packs, drank condensed swamp vapor through his purifier tube, and prayed the rescue signal had reached anyone out there. But the storm belt surrounding Xyron 4 was notorious. Ships that entered rarely came out. He scavenged wreckage when he could, melted fuselage, charred circuitry, once even the skeleton of a fellow crewmate. He'd whispered a few words over the bones before burying them beneath the mud. The Crithian had watched, unblinking, from the reeds. The beast hunted when it could, catching small mudfish, ripping them apart with teeth that could shear metal. Sometimes it brought the remains to him. At first, Darren thought it was taunting him. But one day, when he collapsed from dehydration, he woke to find a half-eaten carcass placed by his side, and the creature sitting nearby, guarding him. He named it Rax. It was a stupid name, a human one, but it helped him stay sane. Talking to Rax gave structure to the endless days. You know, Darren muttered one evening, squinting at the alien stars of the fog, you could have eaten me 100 times by now, but I guess I'm too stringy for your taste, huh? Rax chuffed, a sound halfway between a growl and a sigh, and lay down, its scaled tail curling protectively around him. Days turned to weeks. The heat intensified. The muddy pools evaporated faster than Darren could collect them. His purifier was failing. His skin blistered, his lips cracked, and his vision began to blur. He knew dehydration was coming. The final blow came when he stumbled upon what used to be a freshwater basin, now nothing but cracked ground and steaming vapor holes. His canteen was empty. He sank to his knees, the world spinning. That's it, he whispered. Game over. Rax approached slowly, its nostrils flaring. It sniffed him, then let out a low rumble. Darren smiled weakly. Go, he said. You're free. Find another herd. Another pack. I can't. He collapsed face first into the mud. For a long while, everything was black. The awakening. When Darren woke, his throat felt raw, but his lips were wet. Something cool was trickling into his mouth, salty metallic, but real. He opened his eyes. Rax was standing over him, its front claws dripping with moisture. Its jaws were red. Behind it, a massive swamp worm lay dead, its thick, tubular body punctured by deep gashes. The Crithian had killed it. Darren realized in shock that Rax had torn open the worm's internal fluid sacs and was using them to hydrate him. The beast pushed a clawful of the creature's liquid toward his mouth again, making a soft clicking sound. He drank. For the first time in days, he felt life flow back into him. You, he coughed. You saved me. Rax tilted its head, emitting a guttural trill. That night, they both fed on the worm's meat. Darren roasted his portion over a makeshift plasma spark. It tasted foul, but kept him alive. Rax devoured its share raw. As the twin moons rose over the murky horizon, the human and the alien predator lay side by side in silence. Two species that should have never coexisted, yet somehow had. The hunt and the howl. Weeks later, Darren's wounds had healed, but his strength waned again. The heat storms worsened, and the sky itself turned the color of rust. The air shimmered with magnetic distortion, a sign that Xyron's core was destabilizing. He had to move. According to his crashed ship's partial map, a communication relay tower lay 40 kilometers north. half buried in marsh. If he could reach it, he might boost a signal for rescue. 40 clicks, he told Rax, adjusting his ragged jacket. You and me, buddy. Let's not die yet. The journey was brutal. They waded through knee-deep mire, dodged acid geysers, and fought off parasitic leeches that glowed with toxic bioluminescence. Once, they were ambushed by a swarmback, a giant crustacean with razor spines. Rax lunged at it, slashing its eyes, while Darren fired the last of his blaster rounds into its abdomen. The explosion sent both tumbling into the mud. When the dust settled, Rax was bleeding from the flank. Darren rushed to its side, tearing strips from his jacket to bind the wound. Stay with me, big guy, he whispered. Don't you dare leave me. Rax blinked slowly, its chest rising and falling. It nudged his hand with its snout, the gesture strangely gentle. From that moment on, they were not just survivors. They were pack. The final march. By the time they reached the relay tower, Darren's body was failing. His vision dimmed from sunstroke. His tongue felt like sandpaper. The structure loomed before them, a rusted monolith of metal and bone, jutting from the mire like a dead god's finger. Inside, the panels were shattered. The antenna base was half sunk, its circuits corroded. Still, Darren crawled toward it, dragging his toolkit. He rewired what he could, rerouted power through a cracked energy cell, and set up a small emitter dish. It sparked, flickered, then hummed faintly to life. Come on, please, he rasped, adjusting the dials. This is Lieutenant Holt of the Reclaimer. Survivors on Xiron 4 requesting evac. Static, he repeated it again. And again, nothing but wind. He slumped forward, head on the console. Rax approached, making a low whine. It's no good, Darren whispered. We're ghosts now. You should go. But Rax didn't move. Instead, it looked toward the horizon and roared. A deep, resonant cry that echoed across the swamp for miles. Darren flinched. What are you doing? The creature roared again, louder. And then, faintly, an answering sound. A mechanical hum. Through the haze, a shape broke the clouds. A rescue skimmer. Its thrusters cutting to the fog like fireflies. Darren stared in disbelief. The relay hadn't worked, but Rax's call had. The B-sonic pitch must have triggered the skimmer's seismic sensors. He laughed, delirious. You brilliant monster. The skimmer descended. A pair of armored medics jumped out, shouting. Darren barely heard them before collapsing. As darkness took him, the last thing he saw was Rax standing beside him, watching silently as the humans carried him aboard, ending the return and the choice. When Darren awoke again, it was aboard a hospital ship orbiting Xiron 4. His throat was clear. His wounds were sealed. He turned to the viewport. Below, the swamp planet shimmered like a dying ember. A nurse entered. Lieutenant Holt, she said softly, you've been unconscious for 3 days. We retrieved your distress logs. You're safe now. And the creature? He asked hoarsely. She frowned. The Crithian? I'm sorry. We couldn't bring it aboard. Command protocols classify them as Class 9 predators. The security team left it on the surface. Darren's heart sank. You left it there to die? Lieutenant, she said, it would have torn the crew apart. But he knew better. Rax had chosen not to kill him. It had chosen to save him. He sat in silence, staring at the stars. 3 days later, when his strength returned, he filed a request, an unprecedented one, to return to Xiron 4. Command refused at first. That world's collapsing, the captain warned. Its magnetic storms are lethal. But Darren persisted. He cited his scientific clearance, his personal logs, and his claim that the Crithian juvenile showed cooperative intelligence never before documented. Finally, they relented. A short mission, 1 shuttle, 1 man. As the shuttle descended through the atmosphere once more, Darren felt his pulse quicken. The swamp was half evaporated now, its once glistening mud hardened into cracked plains. Rax, he whispered into the static, if you're alive, you'll hear me. He stepped out. The heat was worse than ever. No movement, no sound, just the dying breath of a planet. He walked for hours, guided by instinct, until he reached the clearing where they had once camped. The charred remains of the worm carcass still lay there, dried and skeletal. Then, faintly a rustle. From the mist, a shape emerged, smaller, leaner, but unmistakably Rax. Its scales were scarred, its left eye clouded, but when it saw him, it froze. Hey, Darren said softly, taking off his helmet. I came back. For a long moment, the creature didn't move. Then, slowly it lowered its head, not in aggression, but recognition. Darren approached. His hand trembled as he rested it on Rax's snout. The creature exhaled, a hot gust of air filled with life and memory. Time to go home, Darren whispered. Rax made a low hum, the same sound it had made before the rescue ship came. Darren activated his wrist beacon. Command, this is Holt. Target secured. Prepare containment chamber and make it gentle. The shuttle ascended, lifting both man and beast away from the crumbling world below. Epilogue, a new beginning. Months later, at the galactic research habitat orbiting Vega Prime, Darren stood inside an observation dome. Below him, in a vast containment biome, Rax prowled through artificial swamps, healthy and strong. It had grown since Xiron. For larger, smarter, it could now recognize symbols, respond to voice commands, even interact with technicians without violence. They called it the Xiron Bond experiment. But for Darren, it wasn't about science anymore. It was about loyalty, about survival, about two lost souls who had refused to give up on each other. As Rax turned its gaze upward, locking eyes with him through the reinforced glass, Darren smiled. He placed his palm against the barrier. Rax did the same, its massive claw mirroring his gesture. And in that silent exchange, something ancient passed between them. Not of words, but of understanding. Predator and prey, alien and human, master and friend, both survivors, both home,